Hi, so in today's video, I wanted to do a brief overview of my rating stats. I've been seeing several other booktubers do this, and I'm a sucker for stats. I absolutely love them, and I've got some really cool tools to be able to show that. I have the stats with StoryGraph, which is phenomenal, and I also have a new CAWPILE rating system, and I will show you both of these with a screen recording. So I will turn you over to screen recording Jenny. So here we have my StoryGraph stats. Now I started using StoryGraph in July or August. No, it was July. I have the plus version, which means I can compare. So I have chosen to compare 2020 to 2021. If you take a look here, this is overall average, and it does not surprise me. So blue is 2020, black is 2021. It does not surprise me that March is my lowest month. So March tends to be really busy for school. It tends to be full and doesn't have a lot of break. But 2022 will be a little bit different because our spring break is in March this year. So I'll read a few more books. March tends to be the lowest, along with September, and both of those go with the school year. Now, July and December tend to be my biggest months. July, I guess it's because I have the full month to read, and December because I have Christmas break. So this is overall. In 2020, I read 179. In 2021, I read 218. I'm getting really excited about these numbers. Now, the next section is moods. Apparently for this, my top moods are emotional in 2021 and in 2020. In 2021, second was adventurous. I mean, that makes sense because I read a lot of fantasy, as we'll see, and reflective. Because I was doing a lot of reflecting in 2020. And then I have, reflective is third on 2021 and informative on 2020. We'll see what my nonfiction I think informative and reflective go together for 2020. I was doing a lot of that then. So if we scroll down to pace, the pace of books that I read is fairly even. So for 2020, it actually looks almost exact. An exact pie chart here with medium being just a little bit bigger. But for 2021, it looks like the two biggest were fast and medium. And I think that would also go along with reading more YA, which I definitely did by reading the Goodreads Choice Awards. Page numbers. So this year, about half of my books were in the 300 to 499 page range. I think that's a decent range. About 30, the second was under 300 and only 11% above 500. That's a slight increase to 2021 and a big increase of the under 300 page when compared to 2020. Again, I read more YA this year, which would lend itself to the shorter number. Now, here we get to fiction and nonfiction. I did not read as much nonfiction as I normally do in 2021, hence why it's one of my goals for 2022. I do tend to read more fiction. I think just because I do like the SCASL list and things like that for work. I would love to have it 50-50. But I think this sort of a breakdown with 56 to 44 in 2020, I think that's more manageable. And no surprise, my top genre, even though it's an age range and not a genre, but no surprise, my top genre is young adult. Middle school teacher here. Fantasy, it stays the same that fantasy is my second, but then children's takes the third spot over history, and middle grade takes the fourth. So I'm wondering how that, so I don't read a lot of like chapter books or elementary school type books. So I'm wondering if some of the things that are classified as middle grades here on StoryGraph are actually like they put it into the children's category. I'm not sure, but those being together makes sense. But history, again, it made my top 5. I'd like to read more of that. I mean, that's my passion. I have 2 degrees in it, etc. Now, star ratings. Star ratings in the comparison are going to be a little bit different because StoryGraph does the thing that readers have been asking Goodreads to do for a while, and that is half stars and even quarter stars. So you can see 2020, I didn't use StoryGraph at all, so these are all just the straight numbers. And then over here, the exact numbers are bigger because I used Goodreads primarily for half of 2021, but my star rating, I'm nothing except, if not predictable. Average rating in 2020 was 3.67. Average rating in 2021 is 3.65. It takes a lot to wow me, even though 5 stars is my highest. I don't know why 5 stars is my highest for this year. But so that is StoryGraph stats. That's one of the reasons that I migrated over here. I absolutely love stats. I'm going to continue to use StoryGraph, but a new thing that I'm going to add and that I'm really intrigued at looking at for next year is this reading tracking. I discovered it through, I forget, I think it was Gavin from How to Train Your Gavin. And this is the CAWPILE system that Book Roast, I don't know her name, but Book Roast is her channel, that she compiled. And so what you do is you will add the book here. You can add the month, the author, the publisher. You could minimize that. I don't want to. I'm actually interested in that. The format read in, the pages read, the hours you listen to, if you listen to this audiobook. And I didn't really listen to any audiobooks last year, except for at the end of the year, but I plan to do that more. The book length, so that's like the size of the books, not the actual page number. The book format. Okay, and then you get genre. You can add subgenre if you want, age category, publication year, where you acquired it. So you can say, is this a reread, series, or standalone? I love where you're saying it. Starting a new series, continuing, or finishing. This is the rating the rating system that I absolutely love. You rate things based on these 7 categories. And one new thing that she added for 2022 is you can look at it for nonfiction. And so they are fairly similar. It still goes by the acronym of CAWPILE. So what you would do as you add the numbers in, it starts to add it up, and she's got formulas in there, and it generates out to a rating out of 10, and then what that would translate to as solid numbers and as half stars. So I have found this incredibly helpful, and it helps me think about the books as well. And then date started, finished. You can track the language that you read it in, which is something that primarily my books are going to be in English, but I do read in Spanish as well. So this is intriguing for me. You can look at different kinds of rep, whether it's a new to me author, what's written by, author's nationality. I want to get more intentional about reading from other nationalities, reading from own voices, and etc. And then you can mark if it's reviewed. I don't know why I bother with this because I'm going to review all the books, but I still do it because I like it. Then what you can do, you can come down to reading stats. So if you come over to reading stats, it's going to populate. Now it's very simple right now because it's just January. But it's books read per month, pages read per month. So it just takes all of it and it puts it in this beautiful little chart spreadsheet, which is what I will be going through next year. If there's ever any time that you don't enter anything, I think this is for DNFs. It's just going to say no data. So I'm really excited about all of these statistics and doing some analyzation of this at the end of 2022. But that is my system and what I'm looking forward to with it. So thanks for joining me. I'll see you in the next one.